I'm excited because we start talking about bringing out the unique human in each student. This is actually the end of a series of videos, and if you want to get the whole picture, watch them later. But by putting a vision for education out, we can make it happen. Right now, we need to compromise between what's easy to manage with technology, what's pretty cheap, what's reliable, and what's easy to integrate into the current expectation of, you're going to give a grade, you're going to have this many assignments, kids are going to look like this while they're going to school. We have to balance all of those things while technology is changing. We don't need to know exactly what technology is going to look like. We can just look at the different trends that have been accelerating. First of all, technology has become a lot more capable. Now, my students are able to do several things on a cheap Chromebook that took expensive computers just a few years ago. Technology is constantly becoming more accessible. Stuff like voice to text have come a long way in just a few years. New apps are easier to learn. Those apps teach kids how to use themselves. The cost of all these new capabilities keeps going down. The reality is we don't have to compromise anymore. We can build a whole new approach to education. So if you could do anything with technology, what kind of education would you want? I love that question because it's a huge shift. What we want to do is bring out the unique strengths and unique abilities inside of our students. Our students can exhibit more autonomy, use their creativity, have more self-awareness than I had as a student. What's right about these students, and get them to start working towards bringing out that better selves and working towards those strengths. In past episodes, I've mentioned the idea of developing side gigs alongside the traditional career path. Now suddenly there's no limit to the innovation and creativity that our workforce could have. If we were training people to not just have a career, but hey, you can have a career but also be interested in all of these other things. Now we have engineers showing up who also understand deeply the art of putting together this. Or we could have designers who also know how to engineer. They're bringing those skills across from each other because they've worked into their passions. We give students one, maybe two different paths that they can complete their classwork. This narrow path for students to follow, it doesn't get them to develop their own autonomy. It doesn't get them to develop their own creativity and teach them how to customize and how to think through a project. It teaches them to copy what the other person has done. But it doesn't have to be like that. Give students lots of different paths. I'm trying to make this happen in my own classroom where students can become digital creators or hackers or wordsmiths or engineers or designers or entrepreneurs. And as they work into that interest, we can start crossing. Wordsmith and engineers start working together. Designers, how can you become an entrepreneur? It sounds like too much for one teacher to master, but with technology, 25 students can go in 25 different directions right now. It's happening in my classroom. As I build out resources on my website, as I make the path plain for someone to follow behind, the biggest hurdle is already cleared. The resources are already there. Soon I envision many paths for students to participate in their learning. An engineer taking that to their science project, a designer laying out diagrams and drawings, a digital creator could be turning that into a video. A wordsmith could write a narrative for a weather concept while an engineer makes a model. Students are practicing their skills in this class, then taking it to the other classes. While I maintain the 3D printing, I train them and practice on how to use all these different things so the whole school can participate in it. Imagine this from a student's perspective. They choose a creator type or two. They spend years practicing, applying a skill that few people around them can do, including their teachers and parents. After a few years, they're past most of the beginning mistakes and they know what's possible in that field. They'll start seeing other opportunities to apply that skill and they'll combine it with some current project that they have. Boom, that's the core of creativity. Past experience combines with your current thought, magic happens. Innovation doesn't happen when you constrain everything. The 22nd century classroom is going to take advantage of the passions of the teachers. You'd be forgiven for thinking that a math class in this school and this school and this school are all interchangeable. Maybe they are. In the future, we're going to recognize that teachers are unique with their own interests and their own passions and their own ways of thinking, and let them design curriculum and design experiences for their students that trust them as professionals and lets them dive deep into a topic. Instead of making them cover all the topics really shallow, they can go really deep into just a few topics. Because if you have a math teacher who's doing this one really unique, cool thing, and you have this science teacher who is totally out in left field, those two concepts right next to each other might be the spark for the most innovative, cool thing that no one's ever thought of, but not if they can't exist, because this teacher is locked into this curriculum, this teacher is locked into these standards. It'll never happen. We have to back off of the standardization and start letting professionals design the curriculum. Who knows what innovations we missed out on just because we're still thinking like we were in the 90s. We have all the pieces, if you've watched all 9 of these videos, but we have to rearrange the puzzle to make them fit. In the end, it's about getting real tools and authentic experiences to individual students. The standardization and laws can't keep up. The kids are all different. The teachers are all different. The schools are all different. The communities are all different. Everything is different everywhere. There has to be more autonomy with teachers. The focus has to be on bringing out what's uniquely human in each student and seeing each student as what are you good at, what are your strengths, how do you fit, instead of what is your test score. In the end, it's going to be about getting experience, starting to think as individuals. It'll be about aligning student motivations with our instructional goals and vice versa. It'll be about safely exposing ourselves to reality, like a sandbox for mistakes and creative expression. I've worked for years to bring this into reality and really believe that innovative arts class solves some of the problems that we have and is a great big step towards what a school could look like. It's not about the technology anymore. It's about the student. What I tell my students is that you look at this project, you look at this thing that you're trying to make, and you get so hung up on, I want to get this done, that you have to realize there's going to be a next project and a next one. You're the project in the end. You're the thing that is important. And what we're working on in this class is you, because you're worth knowing and you're worth understanding and you're unique and creative and have strengths and have a lot of potential that I want them to see and live into. And I hope that you're seeing what could be through these 9 videos that I just made. This is the last day of school. I'm gonna have to take some time and really think about any next steps. I'll probably end up doing like a reflection video after this, but if you haven't seen the first 8 videos, maybe watch all and then watch the reflection later.